Hi, and welcome to my console killer build guide. With games like Fallout 4 and Black Ops 3 right around the corner, I thought it'd be a perfect time for this build. I'll give you multiple options so you'll be covered whether you like AMD, Intel, or Nvidia. I set the budget around $500 to compete with the latest consoles. You're probably thinking, what? The consoles are $350. This is way more expensive. The reason I chose $500 is because if you keep the consoles for a few years, the cost of the online services adds up, and it's basically a $500 console, or even more if you keep it for longer. Remember, this build is going to cut some corners like getting an SSD, SLI support, and some other features that aren't necessary to get the best bang for your buck, but I'm going to keep good quality parts. I also chose all parts from Amazon or Newegg, and prices are without rebates. The PC part picker link is in the description, so now that we have that out of the way, let's get to the build. Starting with the CPU, the AMD option I chose is the FX 6300, and the Intel option is an i3 4170. Both of these CPUs are pretty good for gaming. A lot of games require 4 threads minimum to play, but both of these options will work since the i3 has hyper-threading. The i3 has better single-threaded performance, whereas the 63 has better multi-threaded performance, depending on the program. Both come in at around $100 and are basically the only two options to consider for this build, and stay within the budget. Next up are the two motherboards. For the AMD, I chose a Gigabyte M-ATX board with the USB 3 support, and for the Intel I chose an Asus H81 M-ATX board. It doesn't have USB 3 for headers for the case, but I've had great experiences with Asus, so I like to recommend them if I can. Other than that, both support SATA 3 and the usual. They're just solid motherboards to go with, and they're pretty cheap. For RAM, we have 8GB of G.Skill Ripjaws. DDR3 RAM has become really cheap with the introduction of DDR4, so this 8GB kit is a great option, and G.Skill makes some great sticks, so you should have no problem with them. For the hard drive, I chose a Seagate Barracuda 1TB for around $45. It's a good cheap hard drive, and I don't feel like any new build should have less than 1TB since games are so large. If you want, you can get a 2TB drive for around $20 to $30 more, or add in a 120GB SSD for $40 for the boot drive. For the video cards, I chose an Asus R9 380 and EVGA GTX 960. Both of them are in the same price bracket and perform pretty similarly, depending on the game you want to play. On average, I'd say the 380 is about 5 to 10% more depending on the game. So for specific games, I'd recommend looking at benchmarks, but overall I prefer the 380. Both cards will let you play games at 1080p 60 FPS from high to ultra settings depending on the game, and will easily max games like League of Legends, Dota, CSGO, WoW, and so on. The case is a Fractal Design Core 1100 that's nice and simple. It has USB 3 headers and disk drives if you want to add those. It's just an M-ATX case that'll get the job done. The last item is the power supply. I chose an EVGA 500W PSU. It's decent quality with amazing value and an obvious choice for these builds. To show you guys what you guys can expect from this, I'll put up some benchmark results from Tom's Hardware. I don't want to copy their graphs, so I'll just tell you the scores and leave the link in the description. All of these games were at 1080p max settings with MSAA off. GTA 5, the 380 got 35.3 frames per second, and the 960 got 32.2. On Assassin's Creed Unity, the 380 got 41.2, and the 960 got 34.5. On Battlefield 4, the 380 got 52.5, and the 960 got 46.2. Shadow of Mordor, the 380 got 42.8, and the 960 got 40.9. Far Cry 4, the 380 got 26.5, and the 960 got 24.8. And Bioshock Infinite, the 380 got 78.5, and the 960 got 68.2. According to the Tom's benchmarks, the 380 is on average 11.5% higher, but I'd expect more close to 8% or so. That's it for the build, guys. I'll leave you guys with some suggestions. A decent upgrade would be a 120GB SSD for $40 or a 2TB hard drive, or getting a R9 290 for around $220. It'll take us out of the $500 budget. For an extra $30 to $40, it's definitely worth it. And then some cheap i5s you can find for around $150, which is also another great upgrade, but then that would be an extra $100 total for the budget and bring it closer to $600. If I were getting one of these builds, I'd go with the FX 6300 and 380 because the extra cores will help in rendering videos, and games like Battlefront do really well on AMD. For those who don't edit videos or use multi-thread programs, I'd recommend the i3, but still the 380 for better performance. I hope you guys enjoyed, and feel free to like and subscribe to see more builds like this in the future, and thanks for watching, and have a nice one.